Well, we can start whenever you... CAW-CAW.
All right. All right, here we go. Hello, members, and welcome to the first official meeting of the Missing Movie Club.
Hey.
Hey. So let's go ahead and move on to roll call. Secretary, Pamela, I believe.
Do roll call. Secretary, Pamela speaking. And then we have Chris, who is our vice president.
Yo, yo, yo.
And then we have Jason, who is our treasurer.
Hey, girl, hey.
We have John as president.
Hi.
And John is president because last time when we voted for movies, his movie, The Crow, was chosen.
That's right.
So he's going to be leading our meeting this time.
That's a very loose term, leading.
I also think calling The Crow a movie is very loose as well. So
Oh! Shots fired. Shots fired already.
Shots have been fired.
Okay. Talking about things that are useless, like your opinion, let's get to the treasurer's report, shall we?
Yeah, we ain't got no money.
Thank you, treasurer.
Okay.
Starting to strong.
All right, moving on. As the vice president, there is no new business because we don't have any old business because this is our first official podcast. So, so we can go ahead and move back to our El Presidente.
That's me.
And,
What are the impeachment proceedings?
okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene, calm down. Calm down.
Those are fighting words.
Calm down, MTG.
Let's do what we're here to do. Let's talk about a movie.
Let's talk about The Crow.
The Crow.
CAW-CAW, bitch.
And with that, let's move on. I've got some just basic info on the movie that I thought we should start with. The Crow was released May 13th, 1994. Ooh. I don't know if that was a good day or not. It was rated R. According to IMDb, it is an action fantasy film. The IMDb description is: a man brutally murdered comes back to life as an undead avenger of his and his fiance's murder.
So why did you pick this as the Halloween kind of theme? Is this October, Halloween month? I mean, I get the Crow, he's goth, kind of scary, graveyards, but...
I mean, it does take place on Devil's Night, which is...
That's true. Huh.
Which is interesting. I actually looked up Devil's Night. I found a really cool diagram, I don't remember which university did, where they actually looked into what that night is called around the country and around the world. It's known as a variety of names depending on location, including Devil's Night, Gate Night, Goosey Night, Moving Night,
Oh, girl.
Cabbage Night,
Cabbage Night,
and Matt Knife Night.
I was like, Matt Knife?
Lord.
Oh yeah, I knew him. He was in high school with us.
I'm sorry,
right?
can we go back to Goosey Night?
Yeah, I think that's the only one I didn't get details on. I'm assuming it has something to do with throwing eggs, is my guess.
That's not where I was going to go with it.
They
I
talk
assumed
about-
it was walking around and giving the old goose to your friends.
It did talk
A
about
little
how...
pinch and watch them go, wah!
So Mischief Night is generally recognized in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And it's like they do tricks like toilet papering yards and buildings, powder bombing and egging cars, people in homes, using soap to write on windows, forking yards where you do the plastic forks all over in somebody's yard.
We did potato flakes. You take a box of potato flakes and you throw them in people's yards, and when it rains, they have mashed potatoes. But it kills the grass. So if you don't like somebody, you write words in potato flakes.
They used potato flakes in Home Alone. They used potato flakes to make it look snowy.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's quite a few horror movies out there that I think go along with the idea of Devil's Night, too, that use that as a concept of, instead of using Halloween, because it seems to be so... I mean, Halloween, you just think of Halloween immediately.
Well, yeah.
So, but I think Devil's Night is being used more.
Just out of curiosity, did you guys get those pranks when you were teenagers or when you were little? Do you remember that being a thing? I remember them not selling eggs when I was a kid.
In the small town that I grew up in, they definitely stopped selling eggs that night to teenagers, but not to adults.
We had the old guy on the street that would give out apples for Halloween, and then the next day you always saw him out there cleaning them out of his gutters. Everybody just throw them on the damn roof. And so then after a while, he just stopped giving out anything. He'd put he'd tape off his porch. Yeah, he was kind of.
He should have just switched to pennies.
Right. Yeah, we always get those too. We'd get the roll of pennies, in the tape and stuff. They'd always give those too.
We got full rolls of pennies. We just got a penny.
Really? No, they always used to do
cheap bastards.
they used to do rolls of it wasn't like a full.
Is that next to the house? They gave out the full candy bars. You're Richie. Jeez.
No.
I remember one year the teens, my dad was a preacher, and so the teens from the church actually came and took all the crap out of our garage in the middle of the night and put it all over the lawn. It was just
that would make me angry. That's a lot of work for you to have to do the next day.
Yeah. The only part I remember being mad about, I knew the teens, I was 7, but they smashed my jack-o'-lantern. I was sad about that.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, we'd always get that in the neighborhood. They'd always come around and if you left it out, they'd smash it.
So now that I brought everything up to a happy level,
yeah. Damn.
Let's talk about a happy film.
This is a feel-good film for the ages.
And for all our listeners out there, the reason this is the missing movie club is that our esteemed member, Jason, had not seen the movie, so therefore it was missing out of his repertoire of movies.
It's going to remain missing. Spoiler alert. I'm the Debbie Downer this time.
I do want to read one more thing. I got Common Sense Media's description. They say it's a stylish, dark revenge fantasy with torture, drugs, and gore.
Oh.
Which to me is a more enticing description than the IMDb one.
I would give it.
Yeah. It sounded like somebody at Common Sense was fanboying over this movie and they didn't want their boss to know it.
It has thousands of fans.
You are not one.
Jason is not one of them.
Notice I only said the word thousands.
Yeah, he wasn't. He's not counting himself amongst those. It's not 1,001. It's just 1,000.
Not millions of fans.
Yes, it's 1,000.
Let's talk about the cast next.
Good. I've got notes.
Go for it.
So on the cast, I'm just going to run down through some people, and then we can let Jason bitch about them for a little bit. It was directed by Alex Proyas, who also wrote and directed Dark City, which is an awesome cult movie.
No,
that's not a surprise at all.
Shut it down.
Okay, and he also directed I, Robot and Gods of Egypt.
Wait, I, Robot with Will?
Yeah.
Gods of Egypt was
He kind of took a swan dive there, but yeah.
Are you saying he didn't at the beginning of his career?
Jason said right before The Crow when he directed a cereal commercial, that was his peak.
Yeah.
And then
his peak was frosted shredded wheat.
Yeah, and it was done.
That is not a surprise though. That was okay.
The cinematographer I thought was interesting. He was also the cinematographer on Dark City, and his name, I'm going to say it wrong. It's Walski is the last name. I don't know how to say the first. Darius.
Yeah.
It's a silent Z.
Sorry if you're listening to this, Darius. We apologize for butchering your name.
Also, we're sorry for all the things Jason has said about the movie already. Okay, so anyway, he was also the cinematographer on Dark City, The Mexican, which is a beautiful movie.
That's a good movie.
The Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Love those.
And The Martian, which is a gorgeous movie. Of course, you have Brandon Lee as Eric Draven, the Crow. He's the son of Bruce Lee. The movie has sort of a mythos around it since he was fatally wounded on set when a gun stunt went wrong. Ernie Hudson, who is always amazing, as Sergeant Daryl Albrecht. He was also, of course, Winston Zeddemore in Ghostbusters.
And he was amazing in Oz. He was on HBO's Oz, the prison. He was the warden.
I never watched that show.
Oh, so good. It makes you not want to go to prison.
I mean, I already didn't want to go to prison.
It will make you not want to go to prison at all. But yeah, no, he did really good. To me, it was the first time I ever saw him really do dramatic work. He wasn't playing Winston. He used a lot of language that I wasn't prepared for.
We have Michael Wincott as Top Dollar, who was the thing I know him the most for is Guy Gisborne in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And then he was Rochefort in The Three Musketeers with Oliver Platt and the Disney one.
Yeah. Okay.
Bai Ling is Micah, who was all kinds of weird and creepy. I just kind of know who she is, but I can't name another role by her.
She was in a few episodes of Lost. And I feel like she was on an episode or two of Angel as well back in the day.
I just recognize the name.
Yeah, but I enjoy her. I think she's pretty talented. I mean, she did a great... I will give her credit for this movie. She did a good job with the part that she had.
Yeah, being spooky.
Getting her eyes pecked out by a crow, you know. Screaming, holding on to a bell tower, you know, bell rope.
You should know if you're listening to this, you should have watched the movie because this is full of all kinds of spoilers.
No, it's right. We didn't even say it at the beginning, but that's all right.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, the movie's like 20 years old.
I mean, to be fair, though, the point is that we will announce the movie a week ahead of time, and so our intro episode will have time.
So you have time to watch it, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
that's right.
So you should watch it.
If you don't come to the next meeting and you haven't watched the movie, then that's your own fault.
Also, there's a $10 fine if you don't attend.
Right now, spoilers, Titanic, the boat sinks. We're going to get that out of the way now. Take time to absorb that.
No,
if you
I was looking through the TikTok the other day, and somebody was complaining because somebody ruined the ending to The Sixth Sense. And I was like... no, there's a what is it, moratorium? That's the word I'm looking for, right? On spoilers. Like,
yes.
After a certain amount of time, I'm sorry, but after 10 years, it's up, in my opinion. If not shorter, depending on what it is. I will give you 10 years.
You have David Patrick Kelly as T-Bird. Apparently, the biggest role for him was he was the main antagonist Luther in The Warriors, which I've never seen.
Wait, the 80s movie, The Warriors?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that would be a good one, too. It's been a long time since I've seen that one.
Of course, Tony Todd as Grange.
Yes.
Candyman.
And the voice of Scareglow in the new Masters of the Universe Revelation cartoon. Streaming now on Netflix. First 5 episodes. It's a total of 10.
I'm sad
Have any
to say
questions?
They haven't paid us anything, Treasurer.
I don't care. It's He-Man. They always get a shout out. Free sponsorship.
For those of you who don't know us personally and are listening, hi, all one of you.
One. They've already cut out. They're like, we're done.
Jason is the He-Man fan. So
aficionado.
And I have never seen the He-Man movie, so I fully expect it to be on here.
It'll be
at
on the
some
list.
point. Yes. And finally, John Polito as Gideon, who was the pawn shop owner.
Oh, he's always a bit player.
He's in a lot of Coen Brothers movies. He was on Homicide: Life on the Street for a long time. And to me, he's always Bigelow, the guy that owned the airport in Rocketeer.
Oh, yeah.
And also, just as a little interesting side note, in real life, he's actually gay, and he was married, and he was out and open for...
Good for him.
Ever. So I thought that was really cool.
That's good for him. Good acting chops, buddy. Wait, you don't want to talk about my favorite actor in the whole show?
Those were just the ones that I found stuff that I was like, okay, I recognize that thing they were in. So
I just want to talk about Lawrence Mason, who played Tintin. I assume his career got better.
Looks like he played a lot of cops.
Yeah, he was in Hackers, and he's been in TV a lot. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that he got some lessons, because his line delivery in this was pretty awful and cringy and did not start us off on the right foot.
Yeah. Oh, I love his line delivery. I think it's funny and it sets the tone for the movie.
Oh, no. I just think it sets a tone for bad acting. So, I mean, I actually have a note about him. I was like, hold on, let me read my note. Tintin is not a good actor.
I'd like you to introduce you to a couple of friends. And they never miss. You didn't like that?
No. So here's the problem
pure.
that I have sometimes. I have trouble remembering that actors have to work with the lines that they're given, right? But it's a director's job to make that sound amazing. The director's job is to bring out your performance, correct? Right?
Right.
It's to see the whole movie through and bring out the best performance in an actor. And you can't just focus on your 2 main stars or the 3 main stars. You have to focus on every bit player, every single one. And I don't know where the disconnect was. But I'm going with line delivery. I'm sorry. It's the only thing I can think of. I'm not going to say this is a badly written movie, although I do have some thought. I feel like I get that his bit part was short. I was also annoyed because if you want to look at this from like a supernatural kind of a film or a horror film, we know that usually people of color do not last long in these movies. And I was like, way to have this spoiler alert. Okay, he doesn't make it, and he's also the first one to go during the revenge plot. So I was really disappointed because I thought, okay, well, maybe that was his first scene. Because sometimes in movies, if you watch, you can see an actor do really bad in one scene, but do really great in a lot of other scenes. And you can tell, okay, that was probably their first scene that was shot. And the other scenes are placed in afterwards because they felt more at home with the character, and you can see all that. So this, I don't know if he was the first. They were like, let's get rid of you as fast as we can because I don't know. I'm not a fan of again, like I said, I'm assuming he's gotten much better because he's gotten a lot of work since then. So it makes me feel like maybe you wouldn't took a class.
Halloween isn't until mañana.
Yeah.
It's a great line. It's a great delivery.
I mean, I
I wish you could see my face.
I think it depends on how you're going into this movie. If you're trying to look at these as serious villains, they're clearly not. I mean, to me, the whole thing is they're trying to make the villains as campy and, ridiculous as possible. So, I don't know.
I think we should say also that this is based on a comic book, on a graphic novel.
Yes.
And to address that, Tintin was of color in the graphic novel. They did change some people because T-Bird is actually supposed to be the big bad in the comic book, and he was a person of color. So
Was
they
Top
changed
Dog
that. No, Top Dollar was...
Top Dollar, sorry.
Yeah. There was a Top Dollar in the comic book. He wasn't the big bad. He wasn't like that.
And I think you bring up a good point. Like, it is based on a comic book. But looking at other comic book movies from the past and to today, there are ways to deliver those lines to make the actor look better. And I just don't necessarily know if he got the direction he needed. I feel like maybe the director was worried about the whole noir aspect. Because you can tell this is based on a comic book. Like, without any knowledge of this movie, as soon as you see those opening shots, you realize this is a comic book movie.
Well, and I think to marry, actually, what John and Pamela are both saying, what you're saying, when you take it from another source material, there's so much that you could try to glam in there. And I think from John's point of view, yeah, I think they didn't really develop any of those villains, except for the fact of giving them those weird personality quirks, the over the top, like John was talking about. Made them very cartoony, he had the knives, Fun Boy was the drug addict, T-Bird was the arsonist, and Skank
What was Skank?
Skank was the dog.
Skank was Skank.
Skank was the dog. He was the little pet
I
of the
love
group.
that.
Mom,
Yeah.
I'm playing Skank.
Yeah, Skank is the dog of the group. He's just the dumb one that
That
they
makes
all
a lot of
feel
sense.
sorry for. But yeah, so like I said, I think marrying both of those, they had a lot of source material to work with, and they were trying to just get it across. Because that's the thing that I find with that is the pacing of the movie. And I didn't really, having watched it a while ago, is I didn't think they really do just quickly get to that. They do no real build up. You start the movie out with the attack and him coming back from the grave, and they don't really explain any of that. They just get right to it. And so I think
That brings up so many things I want to talk about, but we'll wait till
Okay.
we actually get there. That's yeah.
So like I said, I give you're right. The lines were delivered just so flatly and kind of horribly. But I think from John's point of view, they just had to get to that point. They just they made them over the top and just campy and cartoony just because they weren't going to develop them.
Right.
That was their personality. Whatever they had was their personality.
Do you feel like, though, let me ask this to the group, do you feel like that was a disservice to those villains to not develop them past the very base level, though?
I feel like you have to think about this was a comic book movie before there were comic book movies.
90s action.
When did Dick Tracy come out?
Oh, that was 89 or 90.
Because I think Dick Tracy did well. I think Batman did well with doing... You didn't like Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy is a terrible movie. It is awful.
All the air just got sucked right out of the room.
I just want you to know it's amazing we're still married.
I'm not saying that it's not a fun movie to watch, but it's a terrible movie. I mean, like Howard the Duck.
Oh, come on, Jeffrey Rush.
I
Not
loved
Jeffrey
Howard
Rush.
the Duck.
It's what's the actor name?
There's no accounting
Jeffrey
for
Jones.
Are you seriously, you did not like Dick Tracy?
I think it's an enjoyable movie. It's not a good movie. I think there's a difference there.
I think from a comic book movie perspective, they did a beautiful job. It looks like it came straight off of the pages of a comic.
Bebo did it.
Bebo
Did it. Bebo.
Everywhere I look, it's Tracy.
But it's
Tracy,
a movie.
Tracy,
I
bring me
think
Tracy.
there's a difference. You can't take the source material and expect it to do the same on a different platform.
I would agree with that, but I'm saying that if you have the talent, you can create the same kind of atmosphere. I think the director of Dick Tracy made sure that each character got its moment to shine. Even like the mid, very tiny level villains that we just got to see brief moments of had those moments of wonderfulness. I don't think the director and this cast gave those people those moments that they deserve.
Really think they deserved them though? Because nobody really gives a crap about the villains in this. The whole point
But
of
you
it
have
is
to give a crap about them because you want them to get justice, right?
But that's why they show so much of what happened to
Did they,
Shelley.
though?
Well,
I have a huge problem with the lead up. We can talk about it when we get there. But
Well, I
all
mean,
I know
it's
is you and
literally-
I, Pamela, are going to have a long phone conversation later
I'm not
about Dick Tracy, Tess Trueheart, and Breathless Mahoney.
Oh, Madonna.
No, I'm kidding. She's a horrible actress.
Oh, come on. Who's that girl? Classic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Classic Madonna.
Don't cry for me.
Oh, well, no. I'm going.
I stopped.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because I almost went there.
Yeah, I'm not going with that one. But come on.
I mean, you know, she totally deserved an Oscar for that.
Who's that girl? Mwah, perfect 80s movie.
Oh, wow. I can't believe it has that high on Rotten Tomatoes. And
What
stuff.
does, Pamela?
Dick Tracy.
Oh, does it?
It has a whole 63% a D minus.
What's CAW bitch got?
Hold on, and I'll tell you, it's right. This
Because I am
movie-
going to go there right now.
This movie is certified fresh with 83% from the critics and
And
90%
this is why
from the
Rotten
audience.
Tomatoes is a bunch of liars. It's a bunch of bots and fan bitches out there. Not like,
My favorite movie, number one.
this is what you tuned in for, folks. I'm not going to say that I'm always going to be the bitter one because I feel like it's going to pass around this room with every movie. Somebody else is going to be like, "This movie was trash."
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me. I
This
will
time
have
it's
lots
me.
to say usually.
Okay, any other cast notes that you're interested in sharing?
Ernie Hudson deserved better underwear. I even actually wrote that note, but I wrote underpants. Because those boxers were so big and loose, they looked like pants. Ernie's an attractive man. He should get some, like, you know, give him. I mean, he could have done some tidy-whities or something.
No tidy whities, but it would have been nicer with some boxer briefs.
Yeah, show the man is a good physique.
Did they,
Well, especially at that time. He was in
Yeah.
pretty
were
good shape.
boxer briefs even a thing?
I don't think they were.
I don't remember seeing those until like
late, yeah, 2000s.
2000s.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't know, something. But
They
Because
should have
they
invented
changed-
them
They
for
changed my life.
well, I'm just saying, those boxers were, first of all, way too loose for a movie. Because any movie, and especially speaking like now, they make you wear some underpants underneath your boxers so you don't got no slippage. There was some slippage in there. Because even one of you were like, I was like, what's with the underpants? And you're like, look, it's shaded. And I was like, they had to shade it.
They shaded it.
They shaded it
made
because
sure-
everything else was hanging out
Well,
trying
yeah,
to get apart.
They wanted to make sure, you know, his two best friends, and not the ones in the Winnebago.
Ernie has to deserve better underpants. That's all I've got left on the cast. I think Ernie did a great job.
He always does a great job.
Chris, can you
Yep.
share that insight you had about Brandon Lee?
Oh, with Heath Ledger? Yeah. I hadn't seen the movie in a long time, and there was a lot. I just kept Heath Ledger, like, watching this movie and, like, copying a lot. Just even the way Brandon Lee's hair, how it would hang sometimes, it just really gave me those vibes of the Joker from there. Even mannerisms and things like that. Just really, it just struck me very Joker-ish from the Ledger's Joker. I really
You said
I don't
even
know.
like his voice pattern.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like some of his speech, just how the Joker talked. Like I said, having not watched The Crow in a very long time, I just really put it in perspective.
I think when you said that while we were watching it, it changed my opinion of his performance. Because at first I was not enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then when you said that, I was like, this makes a lot more sense right now. So.
Yeah, like I said, I
think,
I don't know
like
what...
I said, you changed my opinion of it.
I will say with his performance, I really don't get into it and enjoy his character that much. I mean, kicking ass is kicking ass. It's great
Right.
when he's killing them. But I don't really get into and feel him as a character until he is in the apartment with Ernie Hudson and kind of shows that he's still him underneath. Because at first he falls down and he's just laughing in the street. Like, that's a little weird. Like, it's like it takes his... This is me reading into it, but it's like it takes his actual soul a little bit to get back into his body proper, is how I read it. And so by the time he gets to Ernie Hudson's apartment, it's like then he's him again.
How many people did he kill before he got into Ernie? Was it one or two?
He had already done...
Well, Tintin was first.
He'd definitely done Tintin.
And Fun Boy.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
was
say,
after Fun Boy.
and I think maybe that would have been, maybe if you're thinking about the soul coming back, like to me, it was probably at that point that he's like, I'm murdering these people. I'm out for vengeance, but maybe at that moment he started to kind of maybe have a feel, like a feeling. I don't know what that feeling was, but I agree with you. I think it makes sense.
Anyway, that's the moment where I really started to really like his acting in the movie. And I'm really sad we didn't get to see more of what he could have become or played in the future.
So just a quick side note, boxer briefs were actually thought to have been pioneered by John Varvatos during his 1990 to 1995 stint at Calvin Klein as the head of menswear design. However, the style actually was around much earlier and actually was worn by Richard Gere in the 1980 film American Gigolo.
Oh.
So there was no excuse.
I guess not.
Is what I'm
Well,
hearing.
90 to 95, they don't really they don't nail down. the
I'd like
date
to call a
when they-
vote. I'd like to call a vote right now. All those in favor that Ernie Hudson deserved better underpants. Can I get an aye, please?
I.
Aye.
Aye.
Damn right it's an
that.
aye.
I'll second that. All right. Motion carried.
Oh.
Whoa now. Whoa.
He touched the gavel.
Hey,
See,
Vice President.
This is why he has Vice in that. 'Cause he's
Right,
not
he
supposed
just
to touch
totally
this.
touched your gavel.
I'm sorry.
You just sit over here, Gavel.
Just banged your
Just sit
gavel.
over here. It's okay. I won't let the Batman hurt you anymore.
Sorry if I overstepped my bounds. I just
I
felt
mean,
it was-
you
It's a
did,
coup.
but it's all
It's a
right.
coup. Call the generals.
Ooh.
We'll know something's up if Chris movies gets chosen next month.
right.
Yeah.
Do we want to like go through the movie, or I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, I think you give a quick plot synopsis might be helpful for those that maybe didn't see it. I mean, you could be like me and be
Listening
like,
to us anyway.
yeah, maybe you haven't seen it yet, or maybe you haven't seen it in a very long time and you need a reminder, and you're very busy and haven't had the time to watch it. So just a quick run through.
Would you like me to give a quick run?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so for any of you out there that haven't seen The Crow or haven't seen it in a very long time, it's basically the story of a young man and a young woman madly in love. They're on the edge of beginning a life together, getting married, when they live in a very depressed area of a town they don't really give the name of. They kind of do it as Detroit, but it's run down, it's disheveled, and their top dollar, who is the bad guy, is trying to gentrify the area or something. We don't really know. All they know is that they're wanting these people out of these apartments, so apparently his girlfriend starts a petition and is causing trouble, so he sends his goons after her to kind of shut her up, and it all kind of goes wrong. There's horrible scenes. She's beaten, raped. Our hero comes in, unfortunately, is ambushed, attacked, and murdered. She later dies in the hospital. So a year to the day that they were murdered, he comes back from the dead for revenge. They didn't bury him very deep, honestly. If you're looking at it, he got out of that pretty easy. There was no
Yeah.
6 feet rule there. That hole was pretty shallow. With the help of a crow. Crow. That's the name of the movie. CAW-CAW. Bitch. So he goes back to their apartment and relives the moments of his death and seeing her hurt, and so then he decides he's going to use his newfound abilities. He can regenerate health. He's invulnerable that way. He kind of seems to get some kind of strength, super strength. You know, for Brandon Lee, they really didn't do a lot of martial arts in this. Like, there really wasn't a lot of... He just took a lot of bullets. They don't really get too hardcore into his abilities. So he goes after each of the group that had attacked him and his girlfriend, leading up to the big fight with the big bad, when he finds out that, this was all a plot, basically, from an overriding villain. In between there, things happen. He meets Ernie Hudson, who was a cop that he kind of investigated his death originally. There's a child in there for some unknown reason. She just kind of hangs out and really doesn't add even... She's not even an anchor, really. Like, if she wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't have made a difference. There was no...
100% agree.
Yeah, there was no reason for her to be in the movie.
We did learn that onions give you farts.
That's true.
And they're really bad.
She does give that sage advice to Ernie Hudson. The only thing she does add is that she gets kidnapped at the end, which again they would have drawn him out anyway without kidnapping her.
I think they kidnapped Ernie Hudson at that point.
Yeah. So that is kind of the synopsis of the movie. He gets his revenge. He finds out all these things, and then they kind of live happily ever after. In the afterlife is what kind of shows up. She's a ghost. So anyway, I hope that helps to give us a quick synopsis.
Yes, that was good.
Good job.
I vote that Chris does that every episode, no matter what the movie. Because at first I thought it was going romantic comedy.
I know. I was like, where's this
He's
going,
like,
bud?
Aaron and Shelley are preparing for their big day.
But little do they know that Fun Boy and the gang...
In a world where Eric and Shelley are planning the perfect wedding.
By the way, can I point out the book that was in her drawer when he went back and dug into it was Spring Bride, and they were going to get married on Halloween.
Yeah. Should have been Fall Bride.
That's right. So I'm just going to ask my question because I'm really curious. Do you consider The Crow a superhero movie?
Sure. And I say sure because if you are coming from a comic book perspective, almost every comic book has some type of superhero element back then. Now, this isn't like talking about like manga or anything like that. Marvel Comics has a hero. DC Comics has a superhero. So sure, that's my thought. I would say yes, I think it's a hero movie.
Okay.
I don't think of him as super.
Well, I think it kind of did those 90s Spawn.
Yeah.
And, they had those Sandman.
Was that
Neil
Sin,
Gaiman.
did Sin City come out in the 90s?
Sin City,
too?
well, the original comic did. I don't
Yeah.
think the movie came out until the 2000s. But
Okay.
yeah, in that vein, I think there was always... 90s spawned a lot of those, like, goth, anti kind of heroes. So I kind of agree.
Okay, yeah, let's say that. I would say it's an
Okay.
anti-hero movie.
Yeah, because he's not really out to, like, stop these guys because they're bad guys. He's just out to stop them for revenge. Because of what they did to him. Like, if they did it to somebody else and he never knew about it, he wouldn't have stopped. You know, it wasn't like he's out there fighting crime in general. Yeah. It was a very specific point. It kind of like Spawn. I mean, Spawn did eventually branch out into fighting other types of criminals. So yeah, I kind of agree with Jason on that. I wouldn't really call it a hero movie and such, as it is more of like anti-hero-ish.
That's kind of something that I'm curious about is in watching this movie when he takes out the pawn shop owner, that guy has nothing to do with it. I mean, other than buying the ring, I feel like that kind of broke the chain, because if he's just come back to take out the people that took him out.
No, because the whole reason for taking him out is because he helped facilitate those kind of crimes, that he was part of the cycle of that kind of violence. So that's why he took him out.
Well, and technically he didn't. He blew up his operation, his business.
Right.
But then also, wasn't it Tintin that said he referred to the pawn shop owner as a child molester at one point too?
Yeah, he called Tintin called him a child molester. Yeah.
There was anything else implied with that. Which again, I come back to. I don't know who I blame, the writer or the director or somebody. But it was like such a throwaway line that I was like, oh, that's probably going to come back later on. Maybe he'll try to kidnap the little girl. Like there has to be a payoff to that line, because you don't normally just call somebody a child molester when you're trying to insult them unless there's some type of a bearing behind it. So to me, I was like, okay, so maybe he touched the little girl inappropriately, but then when he blew up the building, and I think he set it up because he wanted that. Well, he wanted the pawn shop owner guy to escape, because he said, go tell them I'm coming for them. Mm-hmm. So, but I agree with Chris. I don't think it's kind of like Catwoman in Batman Returns, right? She stops that woman from getting attacked because she's angry at men, not to save that woman, because she basically blames that woman that she rescues, right? And I feel like the Crow would have done the same thing. I don't think he would have saved somebody else just because. I think he'd have been like, you're in my way and I need to go deal with this person. Like if let's say Skank was trying to rob somebody and he saw Skank try to rob somebody. He's not trying to save that person from getting robbed. He wants to take his revenge out on Skank.
Kind of what happens with Fun Boy. Like, he goes in, he doesn't hurt the mom, he helps the mom. It'd be interesting to know if he would have done the same thing with Darla if she hadn't been the girl's mom.
Yeah, she'd have been like a regular, like a hooker, which is the term they used back then, not now. I am a little woke. I know it's a sex worker, but I'm just saying back then they would have referred to her as a hooker. And I think you're right. That would be an interesting thing. Would he have done the same? Or would he have just left her alone completely?
I think if she didn't have a connection, I don't think he would have hurt her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he necessarily, I think because of her connection with the kid, I think that's the only real reason that he even paid attention to her and like forced the drug out of her vein.
I do want to point out that none of us know the name of the kid. We've simply referred to that child as the kid or the child this entire time. Is that her name?
Her name is Sarah. In the comic books, it was Sherry.
So she was in the comics. It wasn't just something for the movie?
Yeah, it was. She was younger in the comic book, though. She was younger than that. So I'm guessing that girl's around like 13
Was the pawn store owner in the comic books?
Yes.
Was he a child molester in the comic books?
No, not that I recall.
Then I blame writing on that, because it led credence to me saying, oh, well, this guy's going to get punished because of a past crime. Mm-hmm. But if it wasn't... It's lazy writing.
What is one of your favorite quotes?
Oh, I still love Ernie Hudson's, like, at least he didn't do that walking against the wind shit.
It's a good line. He delivers it very well.
Yeah.
I have two. One, I don't remember who said it. Whoever called the Crow the mime from hell.
I think it might have been Ernie Hudson.
I think it's such a... And then my favorite that was said multiple times in multiple scenes was, shit on me. Shit on me! And I was like... Sir.
Yes, it was.
That was from the pawn guy.
Yeah.
Like, shit on me. Every time something went wrong. Shit on me! It's not really the exclamation that I would use.
Maybe he had a death wish.
Maybe.
He didn't know how to shut his mouth, that's for sure.
He had no sense of self-preservation.
Yeah. Gideon. His name was Gideon.
Oh,
Gideon. That's a shopkeep?
Yeah.
So then,
the shopkeep. That's back in the 1800s.
Ye old shopkeep.
Ye old shopkeep.
Pardon me, shopkeep. Do you have any mulled wine? Now, pardon me, I must get down to the haberdashery.
Defecate upon myself. Okay.
My favorite quote is probably, there ain't no coming back. Just repeating that, because we do that. Like, we're those people that quote movies constantly and have been for years. We say that all the time. There ain't no coming back.
There ain't no coming back.
Yeah, mine, it's the pawn shop scene when he's like knocks over all the gasoline cans.
Oh, yeah.
He's loading the shotgun with the rings, and he's like, "Is that gasoline I smell?" And I don't know why. It's just how he delivers it so just like straightforward. And as John points out, the shopkeeper has no sense of self-preservation, so he keeps talking about like yelling at him while he's loading the shotgun with gasoline all over the place. But that leads us to another thing: is how the hell did that building just? I mean, it gets decimated with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no. I mean, even unless he had a gas line open or something, man, that building just gets wasted.
Why was there that much gasoline in a pawn shop?
Right? And how come those looters, like, I never noticed this, I never paid attention, I guess, when I was younger. There's looters already, and wouldn't there just be fire fucking everywhere? Yeah. And wouldn't all that stuff just be, like, ruined? I mean, in that big explosion, what are they looting? Just tar
Again,
and ash?
who does that come to? Does that come to the writer or does it come
Yeah,
to the director?
because
I see one guy stole a TV and I was like, sure.
TV back then, too, man.
And it looked a little crispy.
Yeah. Well, and they're also doing it right in front of a cop.
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson's like on the scene, man.
Yeah.
He's Johnny on the spot when that happens. And yeah, he's like, there's these guys looting, and then he's like trying to, do I get the looters or do I, why are they looting burnt up crap in a pawn shop? I don't. That scene I never really paid attention to that when I was younger, but watching it now, yeah, I'm just like, that's so weird.
And also, like, when you light gasoline, it flames up.
Yeah.
To get the explosion, the flames have to hit the gas inside, the fumes inside the can, and then the can would explode, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they always get
But there was only like 8 cans, and they were all in a pile. It was like, this is a 4-story building.
Yeah. They always get gasoline wrong in movies.
Every
like,
time.
You can't light gasoline with a cigarette. It'll go out every time.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Pamela, because you recently read the comic, can you tell us just a little bit about how it compares?
Ooh, that comic's really rough.
How?
Is it a graphic novel, would you say, more than a comic?
Yeah, it's a graphic novel, and just, I don't want to say amateurish. But you can tell it's someone fairly new at what they were doing. And what happened was that the author of the comic, James O'Barr, his girlfriend, fiance, was killed by a drunk driver after he had called her for a ride. So he felt this immense sense of guilt at her death. He started drawing this comic to kind of help relieve what he had seen, what had happened. And he had also read this story about a couple who were killed for a $30 engagement ring. So that kind of fed into it too, from what I read. And so the comic's pretty rough, but he does do this nice thing that a lot of the scenes with the crow are done in like pen. But then when you get back to the flashbacks, they're done in more charcoals and they're softer.
Interesting.
And so that's kind of neat between it. And he did go back. I read the 30th anniversary edition, which came out in 2011. So
we're on the 40th now?
Yeah, it's been 40 years.
I did math.
It's crazy.
Good job, treasurer. Keep counting good.
Yeah, I guess he started it in 1981, but I don't think it got published until 1989, the full thing. And it was done on an independent press.
And was it individual issues, or did it all come out at once? Do you know?
I know that he did the first issue and then there was a second issue. And the reason that he talks about it in the book, the reason that he added stuff back in is because they did it on independent press and they thought they could only do even number pages. They didn't realize that they could do odd number pages or that they could do multiples of pages. That's why some stuff got cut on the cutting room floor back in the day, and then he was able to add stuff back in when they did the re-release of it.
Interesting.
But it did have the characters. It had Tintin and Fun Boy.
Was Skank in it?
I don't remember a Skank.
We all know a Skank.
But you don't remember them.
I'm not talking about my high school days. But the story in the comic book is a little bit different. They just got engaged and they're celebrating and they're at this like beach. It's supposed to be like Lake Michigan or something like that, I think. And then their car breaks down, and so T-Bird and his gang come up and shoot and kill him, and then he has to watch her. Yeah, and that's pretty graphic in the graphic novel.
So, for the most part, does the comic follow the movie? Or should I say, does the movie follow the comic?
It does for the most part. It stays very true to the story. I think the movie is a better medium for the story than the comic book was. I think the movie's done better than the comic book, but that's just, that's my opinion.
I mean, but to be fair, you saw the movie first, so that does
I
tinge
did
opinion.
see the movie first, and
It's true.
but it had been so long since I had seen the movie that when I read the comic book that I didn't remember. And I keep calling it comic book, and I should be saying graphic novel.
It's okay.
But
Looking it up, I went to IMDb while you were talking as I was listening, because, John, I can do two things at once.
Multitasking.
And I was like, okay, did he write the movie? And it says, it was him along with David Schow, S-C-H-O-W. And it seems like David actually wrote the screenplay, so I'm assuming it was loosely based on the characters, and he probably oversaw. But I think we have figured out the issue with the writing, because I just want you all to know what other things David wrote. Critters 3.
Oh, come on.
He was a writer on the short-lived TV series Freddy's Nightmares.
That says all.
He wrote the movie Leatherface. Critters 4. Critters Go to Space.
oh
Didn't
wow,
critters come from outer space?
He wrote a movie called Perversions. The Hunger. One of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. The Hills Are Red. Frightfall. So it explains a lot to me, thinking about those titles, of why I feel like I don't necessarily know if I should blame... I still blame the director slightly. But I think a lot of my problems with this movie are with the writer.
Yeah, and apparently, just researching John's question, I guess the Crow's first limited series was the Crow number 1 through 4 from February through May of 1989. And I guess each issue was called, it had a different title. The first was Pain, second was Fear, third was Irony, and the fourth was Despair. And I guess there is a character called Tom Tom that was in the comic.
Oh.
So I'm guessing that was the skank.
yeah.
was the skank of the
God,
comic.
the
Yeah.
skank just shows
I
up
guess
when you
they,
don't
I guess
want
they
him.
didn't want to do Tintin and Tom Tom.
Tom.
So that kind of answers John.
You know what? I would have preferred a Tintin and a Tom Tom.
Yeah.
I think I would remember Tintin and a Tom Tom.
He did there's been a lot of different Crows. There's been like 45 plus issues of different Crow comics from series to series. And
Also, terrible sequels to the movie. Don't waste your time on any of those.
Oh, you don't want to put those on the list?
No.
I haven't
No.
seen those either.
Oh,
Well, you're
so
welcome to watch them in your free time.
So-
and report back.
apparently the Wikipedia, as we know, is the definition. So we're talking about his powers earlier. So apparently he has enhanced speed, strength, and agility, cat-like reflexes, heightened senses, resistance to injury or pain, invulnerability. But if he's had invulnerability, why does this say resistance to injury? It just seems like kind of weird if you're invulnerable.
Because even when he grabbed onto that glass broken window,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
cut his hands.
Yeah,
They
and then
healed
he-
up, but he cut them.
and also skilled marksmanship.
But in the comics, isn't there like a character that has like a skull face or something?
Yes,
That, like,
actually, and that was they had a scene in the movie with him,
Okay.
and they cut it because it wasn't finished before he died, and so the director thought it looked too cheesy. Literally, he thought
That's where you draw
that's
the
where they draw
line.
the line. Yeah, it was a skull. Yeah,
You
it
named
was,
a character Skank.
but yeah, still, you're right. There was a character, and it was supposed to be in the movie, but
yeah,
it got
which is
cut.
kind of like almost like a ferryman type
Yeah,
character,
yeah.
if I remember right.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Because
so,
I think I have read part of it, but it's been
yeah, and he got
really
they
weird.
did start to film. That.
So he was in the comic, though?
Yeah. Just not a huge part. Just kind of what happens at the end.
did have a note that Michael Massey, who played Fun Boy, actually fired the shot that killed Brandon Lee. He was so traumatized that he took a year off from acting, and he never watched the completed film. I think he passed away a few years ago, but he never watched it.
I don't even know where my mental health would be at that moment if I knew.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't his fault. I mean, it was was there a real bullet in the gun, or did it just hit
No,
it?
it was they loaded it with a blank. Is that right? But the blanks still have like wadding in it, and so that's what hit him.
And he didn't have a protective
No,
vest
because
on?
it was supposed to just be like a flashbang kind of a thing. It wasn't supposed to have any kind of actual projectile.
Interesting.
So, and I think it had something to do with how close up he was
Yeah.
when they did it. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't read into it a lot because I know anytime this movie's talked about, that's like 90% of what people end up talking about, and I wanted to talk about the movie.
Yeah.
It's very detailed on Wikipedia if anyone's interested in
Yeah, I
that
think there's
part.
actually more detail on that on Wikipedia than about the movie.
Yeah, there
I
is.
have a question. Maybe it's too early to ask it, but I'm just going to do it because it's on my mind. And I wanted to ask during the movie, but I wanted to wait to talk about it now. I know this movie has a cult following because it had a cult following for the comic book. Do you think this movie would still be big today if the tragedy had not happened? If everything went smoothly with this movie, do you think we'd be talking about it right now?
I don't know. I think it would depend on how big of an actor Lee was, because I think he did a really excellent job with as early as this was in his career, and how his lineage and good looks
It's very attractive.
probably would have taken him far, and we would have seen more from him. So I think this would have been like one of the, oh yeah, that's classic, like his classic movies or whatever. So I think it might have been still big in that way, but I don't know if it would have garnered the attention that it got when it first came out as it did because of his death.
I mean, yeah. I would love to see the alternate reality where there are huge movies with him and River Phoenix. Like they became like the big dramatic duo. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think it still would have been a hit.
The soundtrack alone.
Yeah, the soundtrack was really good. It kind of hit, I feel like, at the right time for it, because it was like, you know, in like the late 90s you ended up with like The Matrix and like that whole like cyber goth kind of thing. But when this came out, that everything was grungy and you know, I think
chic.
Yeah, heroin chic. I think it really fit what the people that were the right age to really be into this movie, where they were at that point. Like, I was just a little bit too young at that point to be into it. I hit it later, obviously, but I think it would have still been pretty big. I don't think it would have had the cult following as much, but it would be one of those movies that, like, that specific, like, 4-year range of people that were in high school at that period would really still have as one of their favorites from when they were in high school.
Chris, what about you? Do you think it would have been as big?
I mean, it's always hard to say. It's kind of the same way with, you know, Ledger. You know, Heath Ledger and Batman. I mean, it was amazing performance by him, but kind of, I think it would just become one of those movies that, yeah, I think it would have been well received, and I think it probably would have done decently, but I think it would have just become a part of his filmography.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it would be one that people would really still kind of talk about later on, and especially if he had gone on to do the sequels, even as they were, you know, I think it would have ended up just kind of just another footnote in his filmography. Like I said, I do agree with John. I think people at that age would remember it in that, and so that it would kind of carry on that way. But now I don't think it would be quite the cultural, you know, I don't think it would be remembered. I think people would just be like, oh yeah, Brandon Lee, now he's like 60 years old and fat. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
right.
like when he was young and skinny, and, you know, I don't think without his death and that whole mythos around it, I don't think it would be as remembered as it is. And
Yeah, I think I agree with all three of you. I think, because when I think about The Crow now, there's there's generations younger than us that are like, oh my god, I love The Crow, and like there's Crow action figures and Crow stories and Crow merchandise and all of these things that I don't think it would be as revered today. I just don't. I think you're right. I think it would have been, oh, that's early Lee, and that's where he got his start, and people would have an appreciation, but I just can't. It makes me think of a lot of the movies that were made in the 80s that were those Conan the Barbarian ripoffs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you look at those now, and you're like, nobody remembers this movie. What is this? This was just a cash grab. And I wonder, you know, could that have been this? I don't know.
But hey, some of those are the best movies, those cash grabs.
It's true. It's true.
Beastmaster?
Yeah.
Come on.
Beastmaster.
Beastmaster, Red Sonja,
Red Sonja.
which Schwarzenegger was in.
Hey, the Red Sonja comics are actually really good.
Hey, you know, back in the day, the movie actually wasn't bad. As a
It
young
really
kid,
wasn't.
I liked it. We had HBO.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
You ever seen Red Sonja? It's just one of those. Beastmaster? You seen Beastmaster?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen Beastmaster either.
And I saw
It
Beastmaster.
might just show up
but
on the list.
long enough that I don't really remember it.
That's
That's
okay,
like
though.
I've never seen Ladyhawke. I've always heard
Oh,
people
you've never
talk
seen
about
Ladyhawke either?
I've
You've
Man.
never
Ladyhawke.
seen Ladyhawke?
Holy cow.
I've
Are
never
you
seen
sure?
Ladyhawke.
You've never
No,
seen
never
Ladyhawke
seen
either?
Ladyhawke.
I
Oh,
don't know
man.
what Ladyhawke is.
Also, just
It's Matthew
Michelle
Broderick.
Pfeiffer?
What is
Yeah.
it, an action movie? Or?
No, it's a medieval fantasy. It was made like Dragon Slayer. Did you see Dragon Slayer back in the day with McNichol? And gosh, yeah, it was just at the time they were making all those, like you said, those Conan kind
Yeah.
of, and the Ladyhawke was, but it was good. I liked it. It
Yeah.
was a good movie.
Interesting.
I like Ladyhawke.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
I've always
young,
heard of of it.
Young Matthew Broderick and
Michelle
Michelle
Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer. You just said it. I'm surprised you have the E-Man. I mean,
I know. That's why I was just like, no, I never.
Yeah, like reading Ready Player One. Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff I had to like stop and check on it and read it in Wikipedia and see like, okay, so that's what that was. Because I kind of had to. I was a preacher's kid, period, where I didn't watch a lot of stuff until I got old enough where I could sneak off and watch it at night.
I'm just the opposite. My grandparents had cable, so I got to watch all those great movies. So have you ever seen Heavy Metal?
Yeah, I've seen Heavy Metal.
Yeah, I've seen
Actually,
Heavy Metal.
Funny story about Heavy Metal. So the first time I ever got drunk,
And you were of a legal age at this point.
I was
correct?
totally legal, totally legal.
I can't
So
believe I'm playing the legal fairy right now. But bump.
so anyway, I got intoxicated. And then everybody, of course, went to sleep. And so I went and I was crashing on the couch. And I was so drunk that you're in that point where you can't really move much. So I managed to reach over and hit the remote control and was just trying to keep the room from spinning. And Heavy Metal is on.
Oh,
And so I was trapped there watching Heavy Metal, completely intoxicated,
God.
while the room was spinning. So
That's a
it was
trip.
kind of
Yeah.
a traumatic experience
I can
for
imagine.
me.
I can imagine.
And I had my whole thing with dead things moving and that whole
Oh,
scene
yeah.
part with the zombies on the
plane.
airplane. Yeah.
World War II. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was... Whew.
Oh.
So,
So,
is there anything else we want to discuss about this movie?
I think we're ready to rank it, personally.
All right, so here's our ranking scale. On a scale of 1 to 5 leather pants squeaks on a rainy day, with 1 being the worst and 5 being best, how many squeaks would you rank this movie?
I'm taking a squeak away for the fart joke.
Wow.
Who's ready?
hey, why don't you take it away?
Oh, no, I want to make sure we end this
Also,
correctly.
there are not half squeaks, so you're
Oh.
going 1, 2, 3, 4, or
You
5.
can't have half
Full
squeaks?
squeak.
No squeaks. No half squeaks.
No.
When you're president, you can rule on how the squeaks are.
Wow.
Gavel power.
Solely based on the directing, the writing, and the acting.
Just everything. So just everything.
So the movie.
Based on
You just
everything.
gestured at all of me.
Yes. Just,
Let me say this. Do I think I will ever watch this again? No. With that being said, since I can't give half C's, because I would have given it a half C squeak. For me, and I'm a little bit harsher on some things, I'm sorry. I think it's a 2.
That is better than I expected.
I kind of
So-
was too.
Was it the boxers?
Was there some growth there? Some,
No, I get some appreciation. I think when you had said, think about Heath Ledger's performance, and I look at it, and then when Pamela's like, sometimes it's hard to transfer things, but then I was like, well, Dick Tracy did it amazing. But I just want to point that out there again. I see it for what it is, but as we've talked about offside the show, I have a real problem when people are like, oh my god, it's the best movie ever, you have to see it, it's the funniest movie ever. I don't like a lot of hype, and I think the reason I avoided this movie for so long was because of that hype, and now I'm looking at it with fresh, I guess, adult eyes. You know what? Ernie did bring it up. You're lucky, because you took away the halves. Ernie did bring it up, but I look at movies as in 3 categories really. Would I watch it again? Would I never watch it again? And would I buy it? I would not buy this movie, and I would not watch it again. So it is a 2 for me.
But tell us how you really feel.
CAW-CAW, bitch!
Pamela.
Well, it's iconic for me. It was a big part of my high school years. Looking at it now, though, and just how well it's held up or hasn't held up, it's going to lose a squeak. So I'm giving it 4 leathery pants squeaks on a rainy day.
All right, Chris?
I kind of have the same thing with Pamela. It's just kind of one of those things I watched, in high school, and it was very much a part of that whole, I had different colored hair when I had hair. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm quite bald. It'd be like dying an Easter egg at this point.
I'm not. I have luscious locks.
They're very lovely.
I'm jealous of them.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to purchase Keeps if they would sponsor the show.
But that being, I went through that whole phase. I wore black, red sunglasses, and I had an unk. You remember those?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
no.
so I it's kind of the nostalgia lens, but watching it again, like I said, having not watched it for so long, it kind of goes down. I think I'm gonna have to give it. In the day, I probably would have gave it 5, but I think now we can't do halves, so I'm gonna round it down. I think it's gonna have to be a 3 for me.
Wow.
It doesn't hold. Yeah, watching it again, I enjoyed it. There's just things now that I see. I was my rose-colored glasses of youth. So there's a lot of things in the movie that just plot holes and just writing and like now Jason kind of really gave me some stuff to think about on that. Pacing, actually.
I'm a bitch.
No, it's and actually watching it now though, the pacing of it is just it's kind of jarring. They don't do a good job of transitioning. It's very much as boom, 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 boom. And so so I'm gonna have to go. I'm like I said, I think 3 for me on this one now.
Before I rate, just because I don't want to forget to ask this afterwards, was the weird sister that Bai Ling played, was she in the book?
No.
Okay, interesting.
I feel like they wanted to get a female character in there so they could figure out a way to show some boobs.
Well, of course.
And we didn't even see Bai Ling's boobs. We saw dead chick's boobs.
Yeah, half
I
side
mean,
boob.
Darla did some good bouncing. But
Yeah, she stayed in that,
She
man.
had some
That
very-
dress that she was wearing probably should have got an award. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
it
held
should've.
that.
Yeah,
it held
that
in.
material should be used in like military launches.
It stayed. Her bouncing across that room, man. That's a good thing. All right, so
I'm gonna give it a 4. Like, I always liked this movie, and when we were talking about this, what movies we were gonna suggest, it wasn't your favorite movies. It was movies you think they should see.
Yes.
And to me, this is one of those movies you should see if you were in our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little rough around the edges on some things. The pacing's definitely a little bit off. The graphics do not hold up at all. I mean, I think there is kind of and maybe it's just me, but there's kind of a charm or nostalgia to me for the way that where they have the crow flying through the buildings. But because that was kind of a big thing, like you didn't see that. I'd never seen anything like that before this movie. So, yeah, I'm gonna go 4.
Well, that gives us an average of 3.25 pant squeaks.
leather pants squeaks.
Leather pant squeaks.
All
I mean, he looked amazing in his outfits. Like, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I would have said hey.
Hi.
Probably multiple times.
How drunk would you have had to have been to say hey to Skank?
Dead.
How many squeaks?
Alcohol poisoning.
That number is too high.
Yeah, it's like, that's a no. I mean, any of those, I'm sorry, even what's his name? Toy Boy?
Fun boy.
Fun Boy? Boy
yeah.
Toy? Whatever. Even him, I was like, no.
Ghost's gonna kill my ass. Ghost's gonna kill my ass. All right, so that is our discussion of The Crow. So next, we need to work on movie selection for next time and assigning of the roles. So
So do you want to spin the wheel now to see what movie is chosen?
yeah, because that'll determine who's gonna be president
Okay,
next time.
here we go.
And for you listeners at home, I cannot be president again because we're not doing concurrent terms because somebody will become a dictator. I don't know who it'll
Pamela.
I know. She gets her hand on that,
be. I shall
that trigger.
become a dark, powerful conqueror.
So we have each submitted a bunch of movies, 2 movies each. We're going to put them on a wheel. And right now we have the wheel app, but next time it'll be a real live wheel. So I'm going to spin it. Okay, here we go.
You can do this.
Our next movie choice will be, with our president, the animated movie Trolls.
And why? And who is it that hasn't seen Trolls?
I have not seen Trolls. Wait, have you all seen Trolls?
Yes.
Oh my God, you guys go together?
No.
No.
We might as well just call it The Things the Gay Hasn't Seen.
Trolls. I love
However, I gotta say, we can't get 2 movies that are more different than each other.
Right.
Yeah.
For the first and second.
Wait, is Trolls
meetings.
based on a comic book too?
No, it's based on the 80s product.
The
Okay.
Hasbro.
The 1970s
Right.
Trolls
Okay.
with the
Yeah.
hair.
Who
I can't believe you haven't seen that.
I even enjoyed the second one.
Oh yeah, I love
God.
both of them. Well, if anybody that wants to know, I'm the one that selected Trolls.
Chris, in case you're not used to the voices yet.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry. Yes, Chris.
So Chris
All right.
is our president. I thought you chose Trolls.
Oh.
I told you it was a coup.
So
He totally rigged that out. He was
So-
trying to get the gavel.
you can either borrow it or we have it digitally.
You can get together
I
and watch
would
it.
I would be okay watching that together.
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
We'll discuss off the air.
I would love to see your face. during
I do
part
too.
of it.
But no, it's a really great movie. It's really just a feel good. I first time I saw it, I loved it.
Okay.
It's great.
So Chris is now president, and does he dole out the?
No, we actually have a very special way. Whoever's the president gets to choose how the other officers are chosen
Oh.
each time. I just did it last time because we were starting up. So we are going to play a game of rain, crow, pants for each position.
Jesus.
So this is how you do it. I'm gonna post pictures of how we're doing these hands with the podcast for everybody. This is crow. So you do
Wait.
Yeah, there you go.
This.
put them together. Yeah, make the Spock sign and put it right together. And then you got pants. Yeah, and then you got rain. That's right. You just get those fingers down there and wiggle them.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
So rain beats pants, pants beats crow, and crow beats rain.
Okay, so how do we do this between the three of us? We all go at the same time?
Y'all gonna do it. I'm gonna assume you're never gonna kill each other exactly perfect. It's always gonna be at least two.
Okay, tell us again. What beats what?
Rain beats pants. Pants beats crow. Crow beats rain.
'Kay.
I haven't extensively product tested this, so
I'm just going to pick the one I remember.
y'all gonna be wiggling fingers,
Yep.
aren't you? Because that's it's.
So,
I'm not gonna
is,
make
is it a
spirit
battle
fingers
between
joke.
like Pamela and I first, and then that
No,
winner
it's
takes
all
you-
three.
at the same time, all three of us?
Yeah, we'll keep doing it until somebody is eliminated. The first,
And then the first person that gets eliminated, are they... Oh.
last person standing.
It's a
So the
long
first
game.
person eliminated is treasurer, the dreaded treasurer.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Great.
God.
Thanks
All
for
right,
that.
Let's do this. We get 1, 2, 3. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, we all did pants.
Okay. No.
No, I dies a crow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
So pants beat crow.
Yes, pants beats crow. So
Great, I'm
you're-
treasurer
you're
again.
treasurer again. And
I'm out.
He just tried to assassinate me with a Sharpie.
Very nice.
Presidential
it
assassination.
begins.
Presidential
Okay,
assassination.
so we go.
Yep.
Oh.
Rain beats pants.
All
I'm
right.
vice president.
And I'm the secretary,
Neat.
which means I need to write down who we are.
So what do I have to do?
Get on
next
that.
time?
Get me some
I think we'll
coffee.
have that in the production meeting.
All right. So current secretary Pamela, do we have any old or other business?
We do not have old or other business because we brand new.
We shiny. All right.
Well,
so
do you need a motion to adjourn?
I do need a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm a motion.
I second.
All right. I'm calling it. We're adjourned.
Hey there, honorary Missing Movie Club members. It's me, Jason. I stole the mic. I just want to remind you to make sure that you are doing your homework for our next club meeting and making sure that you are watching the animated movie Trolls along with me and the others. And, make sure that you're ready to go for our next meeting. Also, please make sure that you remember that our next episode always comes out on the first Thursday of every month. And make sure that you have subscribed on whatever podcast platform you are listening to. And of course, jump onto our website, missingmovieclub.com. And I stole the